Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about the graphic palette located inside the inspector of pages. The graphic palette is located right beside the T, and it's got these little images. I guess they're supposed to be graphics. But when we select this, nothing has appeared. Everything's kind of grayed out, and it doesn't look like it's usable. And again, I'll remind you that when you see this, that means something is not selected correctly or you don't have the object that you need. In this case, we need to insert some graphics. So let's take a graphic and just draw a little circle on the page here. We've got our circle. Let's increase the size of this a little bit. We can see how big that circle is. Okay. Now we've got a green circle on the page, and when we select it, we can see all these options have started to come in black, so we can make some changes. And the first option is the fill of the circle, and just like the color tutorial that I've put up, you can change the color of that circle by selecting crayons. You can go to the spectrum and choose a color. Maybe we'll choose purple for daring here. There we go. Close that up. So we've got a fill of purple. We could also have some other options of fill. We can have no fill, which I will talk about when I talk about accessibility and creating graphical organizers. You can see the circle is not filled there, and that means when we move it above the text, you can see the text through that fill. Back to color fill, it's now purple again. We can choose a gradient fill, which allows us to choose a gradient between two colors. Now, Deering's colors are purple and white, so if I come here and I select white, right in the middle, or maybe just go to the crayon box and choose the white here, nice white. You can see here, now we've got a gradient of purple and white, and I can change the direction of that gradient by flipping. Okay, and I can change the angle of the gradient. As you can see, as I'm moving this around, the angle of that gradient is changing. If we want it to look like the sun's coming down on the circle here, we can do that. And we can also type in the numbers right here to change the angle. So maybe if we type 180, it should come up from the bottom. 180. It comes from the side. So 180 degrees comes from that side. And next option we have is an advanced gradient fill. And what this is it looks the same, but now we can start to change how much white is in the document in the fill. We can remove a lot of the white. We could add more purple in this case, whatever color you choose. And we can also change where that gradient happens. So we can say we want just a thin line of purple there, and we can tighten this up. You can see you have some flexibility in creating how that gradient fill looks within that object. Okay, I'll put that back in the middle. We can also change coming from center out. So if we want it to fill in the middle like a bullseye, and again, we can change the gradient here to shift on how that image looks, how that fill looks, and we can grab the slide bars and add more color to that in the middle if we want, or less color. And when I start talking about some advanced options, you can add more. As you see here, I've clicked outside there to kind of give you a quick preview. We could add more colors, and we can do multiple color fills and actually start getting into these. In my advanced topic, I will cover how to do this, but for now, I'm just going to remove these and take that off. There we go. And go back to the original gradient fill. And we can flip this gradient fill around and make it go inside. And again, the same thing as you did here. We can flip it back and forth, left and right. Going inside, we can have it fill from the center out, or vice versa, the outside in. So just by flipping here, we can see that option. So next option is an image fill. If I select this here, we get an image. I have a picture of me that was taken at a photo studio. Okay, I'm going to select this picture of me. You can see this picture of me is now inside there. In this case, it's scaled to fit. I'm going to say scale to fill. And what this does is actually filling inside the circle, making sure there's no empty white on the outside. If I go back up, you'll see there's little white bars right here on the side that is showing the original image. If I come down here and stretch, I can stretch the image. Now in this case, it kept the original size and height, but it stretched the width. I've seemed to have gained about another 15 pounds here. I don't know if I like that option. And we can go to the original size. This is the original size of the image. And again, we can move that around. So you can create some neat little icons or images for your documents by using this fill option. And the last option is title. It would move it down so the title appears inside there. So I'm going to go back to scale to fill. We can see me in there. And we can also change the document again by clicking here. We can change it and select a different picture. Maybe I should go oh, I got a Deering Online logo, which is Favicon, and I'm going to go ahead and select that, put that inside, scale the fit. There we go. And so now that's inside my object. So it's not a color fill, it is an image fill. And the next option is tinted image fill. In this case, you can see here there's a tint to it. It's kind of lost a little bit of its color, and I can add maybe a purple tint to this. And then I can bring the opacity down. I do cover this in the palette inspector, and we can put like a purple opacity over this. There we go. And now you can also see the lines here. That's because the image was centered inside here. If we stretch this image, we can see there now it's filled those lines up. Okay, let's take the image fill, go back to the original tint image. Okay, so now I have my image here, my Deering Online logo. It's a D with a capping cap, graduation cap. The stroke covers the line on the outside. What I'm going to do is increase that line just so you can see it first. You can see it's a big, thick, black line there. We can change that to a picture frame. And the picture frames are selected through here. So we click the little arrow here, and we can make it look like it's a Polaroid that was taken and put down. And now it looks like a Polaroid shot of that image. And let's select the image so we get that back up. There we go. Or we can say none if we want to take that off, and we can still apply these effects to the image. It's just not putting a border on that image. I'm going to leave the picture frame for now, and we can scale that picture frame to go down smaller, and we can make the picture frame larger, and we can force it to be 100% or down to 0%. I don't believe you can go beyond there. Another option people have really liked that I've used in some of my emails is the shadow effect. By selecting this, having the image selected, and then adding a shadow, puts a shadow underneath the image. Now, do keep in mind the original image we had was a circle. You can see that circle there, and that's why it's applying a shadow underneath the circle. So if I come back here and I select none, and we've got our circle there, we have no picture frame. We're going to go ahead and select a shadow. You can see the shadow is following that circle, and we can increase the offset of that shadow. And offset, we can bump the shadow out. We can blur the shadow. So as you can see, it gets a little bit thinner as it comes out. And then we have the option of opacity. We can increase the opacity, and that will make it darker. And you see the image is starting to look like that it's floating above the page here. We can also change the color of that shadow to maybe purple. If we want to stick with a school color, we can pick things again off a spectrum or off our palettes. I do cover the favorite palettes in the advanced features, but take a look at the color tutorial to learn how to choose more colors. So for right now, I'm going to turn the shadow off and show you reflection. Reflection puts a reflection of the object. In this case, it's 50% of the object down and has it disappear. We can increase it to 100%. And you can see that it's about 50% of the object is 100% seen down here below it. And again, we can bring that down using the slide bar. If you prefer the arrows, you can make small adjustments with the arrows. And the opacity is the opacity of the reflection here. If I bring down the opacity, oh, I'm sorry, the opacity is the opacity of the entire image. This is the opacity of the reflection. So we have the opacity of the entire image. We can make that faint. And we can use a shadow with this, but the reflection does not cover the shadow. So that's image. That is graphics palette. Come on back, and we will talk about the rulers.